features we ran in the first rest day show, I think Phil Liggett's extended illustrated reminiscences got the greatest response. And of course, for many of you, he remains the voice of cycling. But not only was there a complimentary voice alongside him for 30 years, there was actually a voice of cycling before him, a man to whom he owes a great deal as both friend and mentor. And that voice starts this piece.
ITV at the Puy de Dôme. David Saunders testing out the microphone and expecting that you can hear me. More people here than there are at Wembley, I think. That's my partner Liggett, looking very serious. And that's me.
Back in '73, I was just a driver on the tour for the then commentator for ITV, which was David Saunders. We became good friends over the next 5 years.
Oh, what a beautiful ride he's done. Lucien Van Impe wins this 14th stage.
When I got the job, I got there alone because sadly David had passed away in a car accident. And they said, look, we've had a lot of applications for David's job. If you want it, we are not going to take any interviews. Anyway, they said, look, we think we know you well enough. You're going in at the deep end. Commentate 45 minutes live from Crystal Palace because all the biggest professionals in the world are going to Crystal Palace. I said, yes, I know, I'm the organiser.
And they're underway. Right out at the front, starting rolling, the man making his first professional appearance on British roads, Paul Sherwin. He took the world by storm as an amateur, turned professional, only 21 years old, and he sets this colourful pack on the way.
And so started the adventure. Oh.
You know, every day in the Tour de France is another long day. Everybody gets up early.
Well, I only got a couple of years in the 70s as a commentator, then came the 80s, and of course momentum was gathering then because we had young Paul Sherwin now part of the peloton. I got all my inside information off him.
Does that mean that we've got a Stephen Roche in incredible form for this year? Not telling you.
I might have to swear very slightly because Alan Piper, the Australian, finished. Paul Sherwin was straight into him and said, Alan, how was that? He said, mate, I'd never been, all the sewers burst. I was up to my axles in And he actually said that live on TV. And well, you know, these days you have to apologise. Those days, I think, and it was Channel 4, it was okay.
Well, Alan, you're the man who likes the holidays. You like to travel the world. And yesterday, you had sea and sun. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, we rode through a broken sewage pipe.
Paul wasn't journalist trained. I just took him off his bike and stuck him in the seat, but he was a very intelligent guy.
We're getting confirmation now, in fact, that Bourman hasn't restarted, and in fact, he will not cross the finish line here, so he has abandoned the Tour de France.
I used to say to Paul, because Paul was very conscious of the bike rider listening, I said, Paul, the bike rider knows what he's looking at.
Got the yellow jersey.
When you stop the old lady going for a tea until the commercial break, that's when you're successful.
Well, for those of you new to the sport of cycling, we will try and explain some of the intricacies of the tactics involved over the next 3 weeks.
When Paul called the win by Greg LeMond up against Fignon in that final time trial in the Tour de France in '89.
It's just going to be on the line, but it's going to be 1 or 2 seconds either way. I really don't know what. It's incredible.
I said, Paul, you want my advice? You'll never commentate better than that. I'd tender your resignation tomorrow on the way home.
Pick you up at 8? Yeah, I thought we were going to be there. We've got to be there at 8. Of course
we were close friends. We discussed the scripts when we wrote with each other.
Sean Kelly too, we don't know till we get to the start whether in fact he will begin. We'll find all this out as the day goes on.
We became attached to the hip. We did everything together, we didn't realise it.
This morning I didn't feel as if it was the Tour de France, but I have to tell you right now, Phil, I am officially excited.
And we've gone through a lot, you know. We got blown up by the terrorists in a number of countries as well. In '92, we got the car blown up. The only good news was it blew up all Paul Sherwin's 50 CDs in the trunk of the car because I hated his music. We kind of created the castles and the chateau.
This looks like the Chateau of Belcastel. No, it's not, it's the Chateau of Peyrac, sorry Paul.
Yeah, don't worry about it, I knew you were going to throw me a curveball. Goes back to 1279, Peyrac became the property of the Verneuil family.
I used to say to Paul, I said, look, they're showing us all these pictures, but nobody tells us where these chateaux are.
This is the castle of Montségur. It goes back to the 1000s.
In those days, we had no speakers book. They show us a broken down old chateau. I used to say to Paul, that looks a bit old, Paul, and needs a bit of renovation on the roof. He'd go, yes, he said, Louis XIV lived there. He said, what? How do you know that?
Historians believe that this was actually built around 1478.
And then the letters started coming in saying, who are these guys? It was great.
And it was built after Berold of Saxony ousted the Saracens from the top of this rock.
They wanted to know that.
The word millement comes from blackbird, because the word for blackbird in French is une merle. So there you go. Again, history and language lessons thrown into one.
It became a big part of our little comedy act, if you like. We were born within 12 miles of each other. We were 12 years apart in age. Sadly, Paul died in December 2018 with heart failure, was the official reason. And overnight, I lost a mate. When I opened my computer, 700 mails. When I started to go through them, I went back to the top, another 700. By 3 days in, 10,000. And I answered everyone. I didn't leave my computer for a week because people wanted to know, they didn't believe this could have happened. So it was a big blow. And of course I went back. I must have looked a pretty lonely figure the year after, in 2019, on the tour, going with my usual bags to the same box and not seeing Paul there. Because when I used to walk in, he had his music playing, and I'd say, music's a bit loud. He says, what? I said, the music's a bit loud. I can't hear you, the music's too loud. I said, I've just said that. And that's how we went through life, you know. And I think the commentators who were sitting by us used to laugh at our banter before we went on air. And we transmitted that to the screen. I think people loved us for it, yeah.
Phil Liggett there on Paul Sherwin, who I'm sure many of you remember well, and David Saunders, whose place in the history of cycling on television is perhaps less well known than it should be. So we're happy to be able to put that right to some extent before we become history ourselves.